everyone, it's your girl Brittany here, and welcome to BrittPositivePodcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope everyone is having a good day and are taking the time and finding the positive in it. Now, we are going to start off with our Brit Positive quote of the day, which is, when you focus on problems, you'll have more problems. When you focus on possibilities, you'll have more opportunities. Focus on the possibility, you guys, because they are endless. To keep up with us here, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and you can listen to us on YouTube and Podbean. If you're listening to us on YouTube, then click that subscribe button and notification button as well to get notified and to see when we've posted. And if you're listening to us on Podbean, you can click the follow button to join the Brit Fam Bam and download this podcast so you can listen to it on the go. Now, let's get started. I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine, our guest co-host of the day, my girl, Ameza. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
No, well, I'm just so glad you're here.
I'm really glad to be here.
Girl, I've known you for so long, and just the fact that you're like my first guest, like, woo!
And the truth, it has been a long time.
Yeah.
Almost a decade.
Wow, we've known each other for way too long. She's still around, folks. Still around.
Still here. Still here. Going strong.
So are you ready for our topic of the day?
I'm really ready.
All right, let's get into it. Our topic of the day is adulting. Adulting. So it is, in case you guys don't know what it is an informal term to describe behavior that is seen as responsible and grown up. This behavior often involves meeting the mundane demands of an independent and professional living, such as paying bills and running errands. So when I hear the term adulting, I do think of it as a time for those who are leaving school and going into the work world. They're like in that process of becoming an adult, basically, and taking more responsibilities, no longer being known as like a student, but a student trying to look for a job and a student who's trying to pay bills and things like that. So that's when the term kind of hits me, when we're in that starting process of becoming an adult, right?
Well, that's true. It's basically, I would say it kind of starts around the time where you are, I want to say it happens generally in your early 20s, even mid 20s, even when you're as early as 18, generally is when adulting can come into your life, because that's when you legitimately turn an adult, and then that's when a lot of these tasks and demands and responsibilities come into your life, and things that you have to meet, and things like that. So I would say, with all that being said, not to, I guess, what our goal is, we're trying to show you that adulting can be a positive thing, to not see it as so much of a negative thing, even though some of the things that can come with it can be very hard, but to find things that you can take out from it that are, I guess, just a positive and something that you can look forward to as you continue to adult in this adulting lifestyle.
Right. I totally agree, because when I hear the term, it's definitely used negatively. Like, some people be like, oh, I'm adulting, I have to get my car washed, I have to
file taxes,
pay bills, things like that. And it's just, it's all about growing up. It's basically that it is. But, growing up can have its challenges, because you are moving from one, I don't want to say area, but you're moving from one place in your life to a next.
A whole new stage.
Yeah, a whole new stage, and you're just literally just trying to, it's going into the unknown. You don't even know if you can handle it. Like, when you think about it, it's like, you can be a kid, you can be a teenager, but do you know if you can be an adult? Because then when you see your parents do it, you're like, I don't know if I can do that.
The funny thing is, when you're younger, like when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I want to be like the grown-ups.
Oh my God, we play grown-up as kids.
Exactly, like those roles and things that you wanted to do, like, especially when you're in elementary school, they'll be like, what do you want to be when you want to grow up and stuff? And you'll have all these ideas, and you'll see, I guess when you're younger, you have a lot of role models and people to look up to. And then when you actually then become an adult, it's like, can I go back and reverse the clock?
Yeah, because you know what? The adults out there didn't really, I'm not coming at you or anything.
Right.
But y'all didn't tell us anything.
I didn't know half the stuff now.
Why do I not feel that prepared? Like, I feel prepared, but not 100%.
Like, can we do a do-over?
Yeah. Like, we go through school, and for my parents, they'll be like, just have fun, enjoy yourself while you're young, and that's what I did. And now it's like, all of a sudden, you got bills to pay, honey. You got this to do. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? And I know it's a part of life, and we all have to do it eventually. So adulting, I've heard it so many times, just in a way where it's like, oh, this adulting sucks. I just came from an interview, like things like that. And I'm like, yeah, but we need a job. This is how it is. This is what we have to do to get to a stage in our life where we are now responsible for not only just bills and stuff, but like, income and things like that. So you got to go out there and hustle and bustle, and it's just a part of life, you guys. We just have to do it.
It's meant to be.
It's meant to be.
We don't want to do it, but we got to do it.
Like, think about it. Did we ever say, "Oh, I don't want to be a teenager"? When I was like younger, I wanted to be 16 so badly.
Right.
I thought 16 was so cool.
That's true.
It was.
I think especially too when back then, I don't think they do it anymore, but like they would have those TV shows like My Sweet 16.
Oh my gosh.
And you see
Nostalgia.
Right? You see all those things and all those, just the lifestyles. And when you're younger, you're able to see a lot of
the parties and stuff like that, and you're just like wanting to go into that fun. It looks fun. You know what I mean? You don't think about puberty as that's not really fun.
Right. Oh, puberty? No, definitely not. Definitely not.
But even when I think of like adulting and it's the fact that we all have to grow up and become responsible for ourselves. I think what is fun. I think what makes this whole term adulting come into play in this time is the fact that like our generation may be known as maybe lazy,
a little bit,
but it's I think it's because our parents spoiled us, maybe
they prepared us.
You know what? Because they worked so hard to like get us at a place where it's like we're not struggling,
right?
So that it's like we have more opportunities than maybe they had. So when it comes to now us adulting and being serious and taking care of ourselves, it's kind of like we're used to a lot of the things being taken care of for us,
or a lot of things being handed to us.
Yeah. And we are living in a time now where you got touch screens and you got
the latest technology.
Like honestly, sometimes you can just talk into something and it types it for you,
right?
Or you can tell Google or Siri to turn off your light. And so it's like that hustle and bustle that maybe we are not accustomed to, because I don't want to say we as in me, but the generation are not used to, is just the fact that we're just not as driven, maybe. Like we go to school, we get the degrees and stuff. We're hard workers, yes, but it's like there's something missing. Like, I don't know. I've spoken this with a few adults, and they're just like, your generation doesn't like to do anything.
That conversation a lot.
I know, and I'm just like, what you mean? We've gone to school.
We did the work.
But I think when we reach challenges, instead of us pushing through, we kind of just
brush it off.
No, some people brush it off. Sorry, okay. When we reach challenges, and like some people I know, it's like you immediately get frustrated. You immediately think of the negative of like, this is impossible. I don't know how I'll get through this. And
I don't know when I'll reach the end.
And no, like even now when it's even to just purchase a house. It's like, or a house, forget the house, okay? Like, that's stretching it. Think of a condo. You just want to get yourself a nice little space, a condo. Even that nowadays, and maybe it's because it's Canada or so, it's kind of looking impossible for the young generation. What do you think?
No, it's definitely what I've seen now compared to maybe what the market was looking like before. It's definitely a lot harder now to get a house now compared to when our parents bought a house. Like I know my friend was telling me about a house. Well, she lives not too far from me. A house near her on her street was sold for like, I want to say 1.2 million. And you would think it's like a mansion, but it's just a regular, smaller house. But I'm finding even the smaller houses, even like I believe the term is semi-detached houses, are going for a lot. And it's rare to find like a regular detached house, because I think because of population, not enough space, there's so many people now that with where you want to go, the amount of space can't accommodate the amount of people that we have now. So I think because of that, they're now promoting more.
What are they promoting, like rentals?
Rentals, condos, a little bit, apartments, but also not so much like detached housing. Like even those ones are just like, can be, I don't know, even 1 million plus, 2 million sometimes.
But like literally when I was speaking to somebody, they were kind of just thinking, they were mentioning how it's like, my 10-year plan. I'm like, 10-year plan? It's like, yeah, to eventually get out. I'm like, it's sad how we have to think maybe 10 years from now.
Right, I'll have a house.
You know, like, like some people would think at least by 5.
Right.
But adulting, guys, yes, it has its challenges. You're looking for a job. Sometimes you go to like 10 interviews and you don't get the job because they're looking for someone with more experience. And all of a sudden you're thinking, how am I supposed to gain experience if you don't give me experience?
Right.
I've heard that as some of, complaints.
Very common.
Yeah, that people have. Young adults have where they're trying to get into the work world, and it's like it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Sure.
It is literally a struggle. Now you have a psychology degree, and you are now working as an instructor therapist.
Yep.
Now, coming from school and then going into the work world full time, like in between that little gap, what was that process like? Like, did you go through anything where did you feel anxious? Did you feel frustrated? Was it discouraging at times?
It definitely was a bit of a challenge in some moments where, especially when I would apply to some jobs and I would get interviews and I would think they would go really well, and they'll be like, yeah, we're gonna give you a call, and if we like you, you can start like right away, and then you don't hear anything back.
No, I totally get it, because a lot of people coming out of school, it's like you have that mentality of like, okay, I studied 4 years, to get this degree, and then it's like all of a sudden you get your interviews, some of them, and you don't get the call back. It's like you're aiming for those jobs you really want to work, especially towards your degree. Like it's something that links with your degree, and you don't get those jobs right away, and you are kind of forced to pick jobs that you don't really want to do, things like that. Because for me, I always believe like you should work in something you enjoy, because you're going to be at work majority of the time.
24/7.
Like literally, you're going to be at work more than you're at home. And it hit me the other day where I thought of that, because it's like in school, you kind of had that option of like, oh, I don't need to go to school today. Or school's like your lectures are like maybe 2 to 3 hours. I mean, who has 3 hours at lecture? Is that a thing? I think it's 2 hours and a half, I think
ours were
2 hours?
2 hours, 15 minutes. Maybe
Yeah.
they were 3 hours.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to remember. I'm like, were they ever 3 hours? But you're not at school for the whole day. I mean, once you're in university or high school, you're there for the full day. But with now going like from having a bit of like 3 hours or 2 hour lectures, and then it's like you go straight to working full time. It's like
Working a 9 to 5.
9 to 5. You do want to have something that you're actually enjoying. You want it to be something where, yeah, it's work, but this is work that I don't mind doing, and the environment's good and all that stuff. So for me, when looking for jobs and stuff like that, that's something I had also thought in that whole journey. And people I've spoken to, a lot of us just get really frustrated not being in positions that we want to be. And yeah, money is involved with that too, but just thinking of like, a lot of the times I speak to young adults, it's really wanting to put that degree to use. Like that's where the anxiousness, the frustration comes from, not just working full time, but just wanting to know we work in what we actually are passionate about. So with that said, we are here with a couple of tips and suggestions in this adulting journey, so that you guys can look at this while you're going through that transition, when you don't just only focus on like the job and the money, but just see it as in between this stage, it's a growing process. You're learning as you go. Nobody knows it all, and I'm sure if you ask anyone who's older than you or your guardian, it's like they'll all say the same. It was never easy at first, but you get there. You eventually get there. So here's a couple of tips here and ideas to look at your situation more positively. For one, look forward to your paycheck. So even when you're looking for a job, or if you have already got a new job but it's not the job you really want, look forward to that money you got, and just focus on saving that money so you'll be able to buy things you like, and just those things will just kind of help give you that push to get through this adulting. You might be in a position that you just don't really enjoy, but at the same time, while you're in it, try to look for another job and just go out there and switch jobs if you need to. I don't know if this is a thing, but I'm gonna call it job hopping. So, like, just
it's a thing.
No, really?
It's a
Okay.
thing. We'll do it.
So don't see it as you have to stay in this one job that accepts you. While you're in that job, you can also be looking for something else and just gain experience. You're young. You can just tap into what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and have that as like also something to feel like this isn't it. This is not where your life ends. Like, oh, is this all I have? You don't have to think any of that. You can just be optimistic on there is more to come. The next one I have here is, in your adulting stage, look forward to the fact that you can help out your family, contribute in the home. And, for
Very
me,
important.
I think that was the one thing I was like super excited about, like being able to like purchase things for my parents and like,
Yes.
spoil my mom and be like, Mom, let me get you whatever you want and that kind of thing.
Buying more gifts around Christmas time, having more like income and flow that can come in because of it, I think is really special.
Yeah.
And you can go all out,
Yeah.
or then again, you can do that even before if you want to, Not saying wait till when you get that check to do it, but I think you don't have to be as cautious when you have something flowing.
Like that just like helps you're going into this like whole what you said it earlier or something. You're going into this whole phase of independence. So like just being able to like contribute and like have save money, that's just an interesting and happy, positive outlook on becoming an adult,
Being financially stable is a plus.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is plus. I think too, I don't know, this is bad, but like I really like buying food. So
when you don't always gotta get that one.
Remember, like you have to ask your parents for like lunch money. Now it's like, I'm gonna buy pizza and bring food for the family. Like it's
I can
great.
share the wealth.
Yeah. So I really like that. So think about those things in that whole process of adulting, because those are things you can just have in the back of your head, be like, yeah, you know what? I'm able to do this. I'm able to do that. In that whole adulting process, everybody's gonna have to do chores and errands and things like that, but just see this as not only things you have to do, but these are things that help you grow, help you mature. Don't see it as this is, oh my gosh, I have to do it. See it as, you know what, this is gonna help me in life eventually. I'll be able to pick proper grocery foods. Like, I think it was the other day my mom or my dad were like trying to show me how to pick some like good, like,
good stuff.
Lemons or, gotta feel it and how to check, and it was really cool because I was like, I didn't know, you might be thinking like, oh, I just go in there and grab whatever, but you got to check that food out, okay, if you want to get the best one. So but it's about, but it's like the part of growing up, like we just got to do it. Now the next one I have is taking a mental break. So think of it like this. With the whole process of adulting and you're coming into becoming an adult, you're learning different things and how to be responsible and of course be a good employee or things like that. All of that can be a bit overwhelming as soon as you're coming out of school. So make sure you take a time out of your week or your day, an hour or so, and just regroup, collect your thoughts so that you, in your mind, know how to go about the situation more positively instead of just like, instead of just kind of getting overwhelmed and getting frustrated and anxious and not knowing what's going to happen. Because I think a lot of us get frustrated with the fact that, like, we're in these situations where we're not either getting the job or we're in a job or we hate our boss or something, and it's like we're fresh out of school and we were just hoping for this to be a little more of a positive experience. But just like taking that mental health time, you just to regroup your thoughts and recharge and just feel refreshed, and things like that. Feel refreshed and everything and bright, and just change your mood into something that you don't have to harbor all these like negative feelings, things like that.
I think it's really crucial because, like you said, you don't want to, say you're going to your 9 to 5, and there's something about it that, there's some good aspects to it, but there's also, it can be hard, it can be challenging. So I want to say there might be a situation, I know earlier you mentioned something about job hopping, and for some people, they might not be able to just easily quit, Oh,
I know.
Right?
But this is why I say, don't just quit. Like, you look for something before you quit.
Right, have something lined up in the back before you be like,
because I'm not saying, like, quit and then all of a sudden you have bills to pay and you can't pay it, because that's just not smart. But if you secure something and then, you can say to the other job, it was fun, but I'm looking elsewhere kind of thing, or then you just slowly back away and just gain your experience in those things. Also, I was thinking about like volunteering places.
That's good. Networking, that helps with networking.
Right.
Definitely.
But also that's to just gain knowledge from others and experience as well, so that you can also tap into what you are, looking for. And because, there's one thing when you're studying stuff, but it's another thing when you're actually out there doing it. I think I know somebody who was like studying counseling, and like after they finished their degree, they were just like, I don't want to be a counselor. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you gonna,
jump.
that's a big jump, but what are you going to do? But it's always good to just gain that experience. And if you're not able to get the job to do so, definitely try it, volunteer in those places to kind of get that feel. I think it's very important because a lot of us now, you can go into school and you're studying something, but then at the same time, you get in the work world and you're like, this is not what I really want to do. And sometimes that can be frustrating, actually, too. Don't you think so?
With volunteering, I definitely want to push and say, do it. Like, I know in high school, well, I guess it depended on what high school you went to, but I know for us here, they made us do 40 hours of community service throughout your 4 years. And I know I did a variety of different things, but one thing I really liked that I did, and I would probably do it again and should do, was volunteer at a food bank. And there was also a self-serve, I guess food bank where people can come in as well and get food served to you. And I thought it was a really cool experience. And even from then and even before that, I always liked to do volunteer work, things involving charities. With volunteering, that I've discovered as I've gotten older, volunteering in different fields, I think, is very good because you get your foot in the door, but then also to see what your strengths are.
And so that's good. That's good too. Just to keep that in mind. If these are things, you guys, just to help encourage you to just see the positive in this situation and to see that, just to remind you, you're on a journey. We're all on a journey, and to reach a certain place in our lives is to just gain experience, gain knowledge. And so, with these little suggestions we have here, use them in a way to just motivate you, keep you going. Don't look at your situation as permanent. It's simply just you going through a growing process. So with that said, thank you so much, Ameza, for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of you.
Thank you.
And you are welcome anytime.
Oh, I'll be back. I'll definitely be back.
Thank you guys for listening on this podcast. Remember to follow us on social media platforms that are in the links down below. And you can listen to this podcast on Podbean and YouTube. And we will be posting every Tuesday. Also, growing up is finding out adults never had the answers. We're all just guessing how to live. I really like that.
That's
a cool tweet. I'm feeling it. That tweet is found by Ameza. So there you guys go with that. And just remember, you guys, we're all growing, we're all learning. It's all a process, but at the end of the day, you will make it. And whatever situation you're in that's a bit of a negative one, know that it shall pass. You just gotta, trench through it, but keep going. But at the end of the day, use that time while you're going through that to find the positive in that day, because every day, I believe, is for a reason, and there's always a good thing. There must be one good thing in your day, so just look for that. If you like what you guys heard, click that like button down below, and you can also write down some positive tips for those who are in the adulting phase as well. I'd love to read some, and I can probably talk about it next podcast to just give a few more suggestions from you viewers. So thanks again for listening, and let's keep spreading the positivity. Woo! Okay, bye.